We'll fix it.
Will out here on another continent.
It's episode 317 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture, and I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
What the hell was that? I'm the Demon of Knowledge, Kris Cornelisse.
Damn, we all giving ourselves like titles now?
I've been doing this for a while. That's my bit.
It's a bit. You haven't been on the show a lot lately.
I was in the last one. What are you talking about?
You were, but yes, but over the last
and
like
I
5 or 6
specifically
weeks.
forgot to. It's been more than that. It's been a while.
All right. I'm Will Berger. I don't have a title. What's up?
Yeah,
your title is Will Berger, and that is fine.
Yeah, there's like a bit. Somebody throws something in, and then other people either riff on it or play what they brought, which is totally fine.
Yeah, I started it. I don't remember what I started it over or why, but I did, and now I've just been doing it every week.
Yeah, and Lucas definitely did one. I don't remember. He did at least one. He's done a couple.
He's tried to follow in, bless him.
Yeah.
And then he started doing the amiibo thing, and that's cool.
Yes, which is very cool. Actually, hold on. I gotta get my boy going.
Yeah, got to get the Donatello in here.
Yeah.
See if he can survive the entire podcast recording again.
Yeah.
He did well the first time. I'll give him that.
He did. He hasn't fallen off yet. He is definitely much more graceful than Richter Belmont, for sure. Although not better than, who's the last one? I forget.
Terry Bogard.
Terry Bogard. Yeah. So he definitely had it.
We were just kind of acknowledging Terry Bogard before the podcast anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
Very
the blustery wolf.
Yeah. Are you okay, Buster Wolf?
Yeah.
Always so kind to ask, if you're okay.
Before he hits you with a nuclear-powered fist, yeah.
Yeah. Bustering wolves makes me feel good.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, no.
I think that was actually like the subhead for my City of the Wolves preview. Buster
Was it really?
Makes me feel good. Yeah, I think it was Buster Wolf.
Amazing.
Hey, you know what they? Hey, Will. You know what they say about great minds?
They're on podcasts together?
It's true. That is what they say.
They are, and we are.
Yeah. All right. Well, this week we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about some games that we're playing. We're going to talk about some other stuff that's not games. I wanted to start this off by saying I enjoyed... Will knows this because I told him the other night when he messaged me because I think he wanted to play some fighting games. But I was out because I celebrated.
Sounds like me.
I celebrated. It's very important if true. But I was out on the town and going to see a stage play at the theater because I'm
a man of taste and culture.
I was celebrating my anniversary. Now, do I need an anniversary to go and see a stage play at the theater? No, I do not. But this time, they happened to coincide. Because I was celebrating 13 years with my wife. If you can believe it.
Good stuff.
If you can believe it.
If you can.
It's Brian's anniversary once again.
Once again. That's awesome. You think you've seen a movie on your fucking telephone. But you've been deceived. It's such a sadness. Anyways, but yeah, so 13 years with my wife, 12 married. My anniversary is actually Juneteenth, which is very cool. I get to celebrate along with a lot of very, very cool people who get to celebrate something else.
The holiday is actually for Brian's anniversary.
Other people who are celebrating the holiday for its proper purpose are celebrating it for way more important reasons. But I am happy to be able to share that with them. But we went to go see a play at the Alley Theater, which is a fantastic theater in Houston, Texas. And we saw, and this is the thing that I was wondering, Will, if you are a sicko like me, we saw Dial M for Murder.
Yeah, oh, that's my favorite Hitchcock film.
Yeah. And let me tell you, that film is great.
It balls. It
the stage production I saw was even better. I couldn't believe it. And
I'm jealous. I'm very jealous.
They included a twist that was incredibly appropriate for Pride Month, let me tell you.
We love to see it. That's hype as hell. I'm
Yeah.
very happy for you and a little bit jealous.
Yeah. Oh man, it was
Yeah, it sounds
dope.
like a hell of a time.
It was so dope. Anyways, so I just wanted to say that. Shout out to the Alley Theater. Shout out to everybody who played in that play. It was fucking incredible. It was incredible. I've never seen the like. And I saw Clue there as well, like the film, but the stage
We need to get
play.
you up here on Broadway, son.
It's true. I've never seen a Broadway play. I would love to, but yeah. Anyways, so we're starting with that just because the vibes, they are festive.
Got to get the high culture in there.
Of course, of course. I've also been reading, so let's get that out of the way before we start talking about a lot of games, because I finally, my copy of Dune Messiah came in from the library.
Hey.
So I have now completed Dune Messiah as well. And Will was out here on social media saying he can't wait to see people lose their shit when Dune Messiah gets made, because Denis Villeneuve says he's planning on doing it, or he would really like to do it, which means
The script is apparently finished.
which means it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I think Warner Brothers actually greenlighted it a couple months ago.
Oh,
That's
hell
gonna be
yeah.
so wild because
I can't wait.
Greenlit it. Greenlighted is not a word. They greenlit it.
Yeah, this is like swum or swammed or like hanged or hung or yeah.
The
English
film was
language is
greenlit.
messy.
Yeah, it was
hanged, hung, or well hung, all very different.
Warner Bros. Greenlit the film.
Yeah. Copywritten, copyrighted. Yeah.
Copy wrought.
What has your copy wrought?
What has your copyright?
Hold on, I gotta write that down. That's a good one.
It'll come up when I do the editing.
Yeah, that's a good one. So anyways, yeah,
You read Dune Messiah.
I have to say, I don't, and I know that I put this out there on Twitter. I feel like Dune Messiah is like more inevitable and more of a piece than the original Dune. Like it makes more sense to me than the original Dune. I don't know. I feel like it just naturally carries forward. Like it's there's a thing that writers will know, which if you're out there and you're not a writer, like you won't know this, but I'm going to tell you this. Once you create characters and you create like a world and you create your inciting incident and the event that kind of kicks off the story, there's a degree to which once you know your characters well enough, the story takes on a life of its own, and it just like wants what it wants. And the natural way that characters behave themselves leads necessarily to certain outcomes. And so you can plan whatever you want, but if you know
the characters
that
will take on a life of their own, and they will do what they will.
Yeah, and your characters, basically, once you have a feeling and you can internalize like what a character wants to do and what a character's motivations are, going a particular way with the story just won't have the ring of truth to it anymore, because you know that's not what the characters would do. And so you have to go the other way.
George R. R. Martin once said he never made the decision to kill a character, that characters made choices and choices had consequences.
Yeah.
You
Which
know,
is like,
because
and Will knows this
like,
better than anybody here. But
at a certain point, your characters will do certain things because like that's just who they are, and you're like, all right. It's nice when that happens because you're like, all right, this is easy. Like,
yeah, you're just like
good way to get
what
unstuck. It's just
Yeah.
sit down and go, what would character do?
Yeah.
What would this character do in this scenario? And then you're like, oh, I know the answer.
Yeah. And that's really what Dune Messiah feels like to me. Like, it really feels like, okay, this is the way the universe works. This is the situation that they're in. This is just kind of what would happen.
Yes.
And
but the reason it's going to be funny is because it make people really upset.
Because of the ending, or because of like some of the stuff that people are trying to do?
Just because of like everything that happens in Dune Messiah, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, because
like, it is a okay, so you know
anyone who thinks Paul Atreides is a hero.
The Last Jedi for like subverting expectations.
Yeah.
Those people are gonna hate Dune Messiah. They're gonna be so angry.
I didn't, and maybe I'm just, I don't know. There's a degree to which, like, as a, who I am as a person and who I am as a critic are in conflict sometimes, because who I am as a person is like, okay, I'm going in, I don't have any preconceived notions. Even if I do, I set them aside and I accept the thing that I'm viewing for what it is. And so if it takes me on a ride and it doesn't suspend my sense of disbelief, like, I'm good. And it really is like after the fact when I'm digesting it and I'm mulling over it that like stuff will come up. It takes there are some movies where I would see it and I would be like, wait, what the fuck was that? Like that happened in The Rise of Skywalker. That happened in a couple of other movies like Last Jedi or whatever, but they're like bumps along the road. Like usually I'm able to suspend that disbelief, but the critic in me is like always looking at things on like a minute level and examining them and thinking about like, okay, what does this mean about what came before, what's going afterwards, like all this sort of stuff, and thinking about things contextually. But so I don't know if it's like my own personal perspective of like just taking things as they come that meant that like I was never really like, there was never a point in Dune Messiah where I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like every part of it was like, yeah, that makes sense. Cause like there are jarring things. Like the end of Dune Messiah is hard, but also the things that the Bene Gesserit are trying to do in Dune Messiah are like pretty wild, but it's like, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know.
It's been a long time since I read Dune Messiah, and I haven't read it nearly as many times as I have the original, so
yeah.
I mostly recall it, I think, and I recall thinking it was fine. Didn't like it as much as the original, but like, yeah. I don't think anything out there is too wild, although some things can be pretty, sudden and jarring, but like, yeah, it makes sense to me, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I dig it. I really, really like it. I can't wait, man. I love it.
Yeah. As much as I like Dune, I would love to see the take on Dune Messiah in film form, because, yeah.
I'm going to tackle Children of Dune next, but I'm on a wait list for that. That's like 3 weeks long, so it's like, I'll go back to reading Lord of the Rings. I'm about to get to Return of the King again, which those books are fucking great, man. I love those things. I know Will's not a fan, but rereading them now, I was like, I don't expect these to hold up, but man, I'm just digging it. I dig the prose. I'm ready. Tell me a story.
Yeah. Listen, I get why people like Tolkien. His writing style is not for me personally, but I understand why.
I respect him. I don't enjoy reading Lord of the Rings that much. The Hobbit, fine. But Lord of the Rings...
opposite. I don't really care for The Hobbit.
I think it's just the fact that it is like more to the point. Like the prose is good, but there is a point where it's just like, okay. Get on with it, please.
Get on with it. Yeah.
Yes, go on with it.
I wonder if the thing that I have with The Lord of the Rings versus The Hobbit is the same thing with me with Dragon Ball Z versus Dragon Ball. Where it's just like, I started with The Lord of the Rings. Like, I didn't read The Hobbit in school. Like, I started with The Lord of the Rings. And, like, I started with Dragon Ball Z. And so going back to Dragon Ball feels, like, very quaint. You know? The Lord of the Rings is, like, a big, epic story. The Hobbit is a smaller story, which I tend to like more. I tend to like small, contained stories more. But I don't really... I like the characters in The Lord of the Rings way more. Like, the Fellowship is way more interesting than, like, Bilbo and 12 dwarves. I don't know.
I mean, I agree with that, but I also feel like the book spends so much time dithering and doesn't actually pay attention as much to either the characters or the events happening so much as it does, like, the descriptions and everything like that, and which, fine to a point, but they got to the point where it's just like, it felt almost like all the things I found interesting about it were almost an afterthought in Tolkien's mind, and it's like, I don't know.
It's pretty crazy.
I love the movies, though, because, again, they kind of shift the focus around to something more palatable for me.
Yeah, they do a great job. It's wild to me that, like, rereading these books, Tom Bombadil gets way more characterization than, like, Legolas and, like, characters like that. Like, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild when you compare it. Because it's like, you look at the movies and it's like, these people are, like, iconic now. Like, but I don't know. Anyways, that's I don't want to spend the entire show talking about stuff that's not games, but yeah.
You ever played the Lord of the Rings games? Any
did.
of them?
I played I think the was it the Two Towers? It must have been a part of Fellowship of the Ring.
They had
because
Two Towers
before they
and
went into
Return of the
Moria.
King. Okay.
So it must have been
the good
like
ones
Fellowship
were
of the
those
Ring.
ones.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't
The
play any of the
multiplayer games
Fellowship
where it
ones.
was like, okay, pick your Aragorn or Gimli or Legolas or whatever.
Yeah, the co-op button mashes. They're good fun.
Super fun. Super fun. I dig it. I've been meaning to go back and play the ones of those that I haven't played before. Partially because I don't think I've ever played one start to finish.
I know we did mention, like, this was a few episodes back now, but when we were digging through, you and Lucas were digging through, like, old Game Boy cartridges and stuff like that, and the versions of that on the handhelds came up, and I'm just like, those are actually really good, like, ARPG Diablo-like games.
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah.
I have some of those. Like, I think I have Two Towers and maybe Return of the King. I don't know if I have all of them. But yeah, I need to check those out. I should probably finish that Harry Potter game I was playing beforehand. Which one was it? Oh yeah, it was this one. It's just like straight up sitting on here. Like the Game Boy Color Harry Potter game, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's real silly.
Also an RPG randomly.
Yeah. Real weird. Not what I expected at all. It's very like...
Quite enjoyable though, remarkably, for what it is.
Yeah. Real weird. But fun. And I can't remember whether I finished FF2 or not. But once I got my Steam Deck, it was like all my Analog Pocket just like flew out the window. But
such a shame. But understandable.
Yeah, I'll play more of it. Because I got caught up on all the stuff that I'm trying to get into. But
there's only so much time in the day.
It's true. So I have a couple of things that I want to talk about this week. I have 1000xResist. I have more Trails in the Sky. And I think that's... and I have modded Balatro. So I'm not sure where we want to start properly. I'm not sure what Will and Kris, you guys brought to the cast tonight.
I got a couple of things. Go ahead.
I think I just have Dustborn, to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah, I did allude to one mystery game that I'll get to much later, so I'm happy to let you guys take the floor.
Okay, I've been talking for a while. Will, why don't you tell us about Dustborn?
So Dustborn was a game that I played.
Wait, how do you spell that first?
Dustborn.
Okay.
Dustborn, as in born from dust.
Gotcha. Like we all are.
So I played Dustborn for the first time at PAX East. I played a demo, and it was really cool. And it was one of those games that got, like, on the first day, right, there's nobody there. You're like, all right, cool, you play it. I didn't finish the demo because I was, like, during press hour and I had other things I wanted to get to, but, like, I didn't have anything for the first, 20 minutes, so I sat down and played some, and I really liked it. And then I came back on the last day, because I had an appointment with Justin, and the line is around the booth.
Word of mouth has multiplied its attention by massive amount.
Yeah, the line is around the booth. They don't have enough demo stations, which was a problem. It just, it's a problem at trade shows in general, and it's not anything against the Dustborn folks. You never know how popular something's going to be, right? You don't want to set up like 20 TVs. So the PR people are like clearly overwhelmed. They're like apologize, like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And we're just sitting here like, this is great. This is awesome. Like, I'm glad the game is doing so well that you guys are having to apologize that you don't have a station for us. So
to those who are watching the stream right now or watching the YouTube video, I have the trailer playing in the corner.
Yeah. So Dustborn, if you're not familiar with it, is a game from Red Thread Studios. They've worked on a bunch of different stuff. I'm not super familiar with their output. I know that they did the last Dreamfall game. I know that they've made Svalgard, and then they made one other game that I looked up and I cannot remember the name of. But Dustborn is about this group of people who live in an alternate 2030 America. In this reality, JFK survives the assassination attempt on his life, but he kills his wife, and he makes this organization called Justice, which is kind of like basically like a fascist police force. California splits off and becomes like the Technocratic Republic of Pacifica. All this very different. right? And at some point, this event happens that gives a bunch of people superpowers, and called Vox. It's literally based on words. You can manipulate other people's emotions. Certain people, if I tell you to move, like you physically have to. It's like the Bene Gesserit thing.
Oh, hell yeah.
So you play as a group of these people, and you play as Pax, who is the main character. And Pax is running around with Gnome, Sai, Theo, and Ziggy. And all of these characters are, for the most part, are anomals, which are people who have these powers. And they are... It's a really cool cast of characters. It's very diverse in the way that will make like a lot of people who are on YouTube very upset. Pax is either brown or black, I could not tell, but she's not white, right? A lot of these characters are queer. Some of them use they them pronouns. They are... One of them has vitiligo. Like this is a diverse cast of characters that you not normally see in a game like this. And so the thing that they're doing is they're trying to basically get out of the American Republic, which is the new US, and they're trying to smuggle this package to Nova Scotia. And so you were on this bus with them as they try to figure out how to get out of what used to be the US, and they're posing as a rock band called the Dustborn while they travel. So that's the setup. And it's kind of a narrative action-adventure game. It's got combat, it's got a lot of talking and choice-making. There's some puzzle stuff, but it's really, really cool. And so I got a PR email, and they were like, hey, do you want to like preview like a longer version of the game? And I was like, sure. So they sent me like a 2-hour build of the game.
Nice.
And I pitched it over to Shack News, and Shack News was like, hell yeah, we want to run a preview on this. And so I wrote it and went up today. But it's really cool. It's got this really... I mean, the cast is really unique. Like, they're super well written. They're really interesting, compelling characters. Like, some of them have phobias. Like, Ziggy is Pax's half-sister. She has a lot of phobias that she deals with. One of them is claustrophobia. So when you're underground in this one segment later on, she's, like, scared. So you kind of have to, like, come on, Ziggy, it'll be okay. You have to help her out. These characters have really complex interpersonal relationships that change as you talk to them and as you do specific things. It has this really cool cel-shaded art style that looks like a comic book and stuff.
It's very like Borderlands 2 from what I was seeing.
Yeah, it's very cool and it's very thoughtful, and I really enjoyed spending time with the characters, which I think is probably the most important thing. So, like, to give you an example, at one point, Ziggy's kind of mad at Pax because Pax, they grew up as sisters, but like Pax left several years ago and hasn't been back, and they kind of run into each other and they try to get back together. And Pax is like, listen, I feel really bad about that. And she's like, well, I don't know if I really trust you. And so they're having this conversation about like what their relationship is. And you can chime in and be like, maybe there isn't anything here. Maybe like we should just be friends. Maybe like I still view you as my sister. And the cool thing about it is the longer you have these conversations, it rewards you for listening, because the longer characters talk, like at first they'll say something and like an option will pop up, right? But the longer they talk, you'll get more options. So it's like, oh, I don't want to like immediately say something. Like I want to listen to what this character has to say, just because I will get more ability to respond, right? And so you make these choices.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, and they actually like change how the characters view you, like in real time. You can see like, okay, like this person liked that, they didn't like that. My relationship is a little bit different now. It's kind of like standard RPG stuff, but it's not like a meter, right? It's not like they like you this much. It's like, okay, this relationship is different now. And because of the way I talked to Ziggy at one point, like she refuses to call Pax her sister throughout most of like my time with the demo. And eventually when she meets another character, like after you've done this relationship building with her, she's like, oh yeah, this is my sister. And if like the payoff for that is like, wow, like this conversation that I had actually mattered. Like, and it bled over into this other conversation, into this relationship that these characters are having. They're not just like one-off conversations, which is kind of how a lot of stuff in RPGs feels. Like you have this conversation about this thing and never talk about it again. Kris knows what I'm talking about, I think.
Oh yeah.
But
I want to know more about these things. Tell me more about this stuff. Give me more conversation here.
Yeah, it's not like that based on what I've played, and it's interesting to see like these characters have really specific things. Like Sai is really strong, so she gets asked to move stuff a lot, and she really doesn't like being asked to move stuff. She's like, it sucks. Like the only thing people want me for is because I'm really strong and I can bust doors open, right? Or like I can move the bus. You know, if the bus gets stuck, like I can push the bus. So, you know, you don't want to rely on her for that too much. And characters will sometimes, if you ask them to do stuff, like tell you no based on what, you know, they think or what your relationship with them is. Like at one point I did have to open a door and I was like, oh, well, I can have Theo, who's like our hacker guy, hack the door. And he was like, I think hacking that door is a bad idea. I'm not going to do it. And so it was like, oh, all right, well, Sai, can you open the door? And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll open the door, right? But later on, when I had the opportunity to like pry something open without her, I chose to do it because it was like, hey, you know, the more I ask her, the less she's going to be happy about it, right? So it has a lot of really cool systems like that. And it has some pretty neat combat where you can use these words, you know, and tell people what to do, influence their actions. You can be like, hey, that guy thinks you're a bitch. And then like he will fight his friends, or move, you know, blow him backwards, and you can follow up with like another character in your party who can do like a combination attack. Pax can like throw her bat and call it back Kratos style because she has like a magic magnetic glove. So it does a lot of stuff for you, and depending on how you use your words and how you use your powers, you have these really cool moments. It also kind of makes health a resource. So like health regenerates in battle, but when you get to maximum health, you can have Pax like do a special thing. You get like a quick time event. And if you do it right, she like does a special attack and, you know, does lots of damage. But if she does it wrong, if you mess up, she like kind of fumbles over what she means to say. She's like, you're stupid. And then, you know, nothing happens. You have to wait. So it's a really cool game, and I don't feel like I'm doing it justice, but it has a lot of really interesting world building. The characters are really cool and unique. It has like Guitar Hero elements because you are, you know, a rock band, right? You have to actually perform. So you write songs, you perform, while you're managing all these things and trying to get across this country, like as outlaws, basically, right? On the run from the cops, this like organized fascist police state. So I really liked it. When I got to the end of the 2-hour demo, I was like, this game is really neat. I don't know how on people's radars it is yet, but if you were interested in Dustborn, I would highly suggest checking it out. The Steam Next Fest demo is still up. You can download it and play it. It's different from the demo that I played, but totally worth your time. So it's coming out in August, and I'm very excited for it.
Good stuff.
Dope. Yeah, hadn't heard of that one before, but no, I'm definitely wishlisting that one for sure.
I dig it.
Sounds right up my alley.
It's really unique. I haven't played anything that is like it in a long time, or I don't think ever, just in terms of like who the cast are and how they interact and how all these different things matter and the way that you get like your powers, right? Like it's not like a normal like superpower fantasy, you know, like it takes place in this dystopian alternate future. Like it's a very interesting set of ideas. And yeah, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air in an industry that wants to sell us a lot of the same stuff. So I greatly appreciated my time with it. And if you want more information, you can read this really long preview I did on Check News.
You should. It's good stuff.
Nice.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I may as well segue off that just because you mentioned Steam Next demo. Well, last week you mentioned a different Steam Next demo, that being for The Alters, and I went and picked that up and played through that. And damn, I want that game.
Yeah, right? That game is neat.
That game is really neat. Like, went into it expecting, you know, it's a good-looking game, interesting premise, cool, you know, visuals and everything like that. Get into the basic survival management stuff. It's like, yeah, this is all good. This is fine. I could see myself playing this because, you know, I don't mind that kind of genre. And then the writing comes up and the ethical dilemmas and the discussions about the ethical dilemmas and the cloning and the, you know, actually having to reach out to a clone of yourself and figure that out and dig into your own backstory and figure out where the branching points are and everything in order to create a different branch which gives you the skills you need, or your alter have the skills you need. And the demo did a really, really good job of portraying all that and showing that in a way that's like, ooh, there's some real meat here. I really, really looking forward to more of these conversations, more of these characters, more of where this goes. So, yeah, It's a pretty short demo. I think I clocked it in at well under 2 hours. But yeah, if you have the means, give it a look. That game looks rad. I'm very much looking forward to the full thing now.
That's an 11-bit game, right?
That is 11-bit Studios.
Yeah.
And to follow up on that, we've been doing a lot of IGN first coverage for the Alters. So we've had new trailers, we've had interviews, we have another thing that I worked on going live soon. So if you're interested in that game, I highly recommend that you check out what we've been doing. There's a lot of cool stuff there, and definitely play the demo because it is still up there. You can still play it, and it's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's worth your time.
Very nice, very nice. Good stuff. Oh my goodness. Ah.
That time of night.
I mean, it's really hot here in Texas, and I've been swimming like the last 2 to 3 days for several hours and running around doing all sorts of stuff. So I slept kind of okay last night, but woke up a lot during the night. Didn't sleep quite as long as I would like, and I just had a big drink. So sometimes when I
catches
have
up with you.
a little bit of alcohol, sometimes I get a wee bit sleepy.
Is a tired boy.
But anyways,
Sleepy boy.
now is not the time to be tired. Now is the time to talk about games.
Games.
Yeah.
So, I've been playing. Surprise! I've been playing Balatro, but I haven't been playing just any Balatro. I've been chasing the last achievements that I have in this game, and last time we talked, I had 3 achievements left in the game. 1, to beat the highest difficulty with every deck in the game, which I've completed.
Congrats.
Another one is defeat every specially crafted challenge mode that exists in the game. I've done that.
Hell yeah.
And that's pretty tough.
And
I'm still stuck on Jokerless.
It is tough. Jokerless, I actually did not have as hard of a time with as Golden Needle. That one was brutal.
Can't remember if I've done Golden Needle or not.
Golden Needle, you only have one hand every...
Oh, yeah. Fuck that one. That one's hard as hell.
That one fucking sucks. Jokerless, I actually didn't have that much of a problem with. But I went in with a game plan. And the third and final achievement that I had left is to beat the game on the hardest difficulty with every one of the 150 Jokers in the game. And I have not done that.
Because every time you beat a run, you get a little sticker on the Joker card on the back of it in your collection for that color of difficulty. So to do that, you have to go through and get gold stake on every single one of them, which is crazy hard.
You know what I just realized? I just realized that this is kind of this is a much harder version of beat the Elite Four with every Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's just a harder version of that.
Much harder because eventually the Elite Four, will just cave.
Yeah. But anyways, so I have not done that, but I have, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to because I actually don't find Gold Stake that fun. I really like White Stake, which is just the base difficulty mode, which I have a very high win rate with because I've been playing more of that since I got all of those achievements. And there is a degree to which I'm also very interested in Black Stake, which is when you get Eternal Jokers, which is when you can start playing with Jokers that delete other Jokers or whatever. If you use Madness Joker, which every round it increases in power, but it eats one of your other Jokers. But if the other Jokers are eternal, it can't eat them, which means that your power just increases with no downside. So Black Stake for that sort of stuff. But other than that, I'm not really interested in chasing all of the Jokers because they're not all super viable. They're not all super fun to play. However, I took on a custom kind of goal for myself, which is I want to beat the game with every Joker. So I
get at least a White Stake sticker on every one.
I want a sticker on every Joker. So that's what I'm doing myself. That's just kind of the thing that I've set for myself. And also, since I've gotten those two like really hard, like finish gold stake with everything and finish all the challenge modes, I've modded my game. And I will say the first time when I first like reviewed Balatro on this podcast, one of the things that I said was, I cannot wait for the community to get a hold of this and mod it because there is so much potential. And man, it's very common for me to be right on this show because I'm a clever boy and I have good opinions. But man, it's been a while since I've been this right. Like the mods in this game,
the modding scene has popped off then,
are fucking immaculate. Like there is so much good shit in this game, like just from the jump. And then if you mod it, there's like infinite. It's crazy. So you have to go through like a certain couple of like, you have to jump through a couple of hoops to get it running. But there's something on GitHub called Steam Modded and called, I think it's Lovely, which are like two little things that you can set up. But once you have them set up, you can download mods from around the internet and then just pop them in your Balatro mods folder. And those, like the Steam modded thing will just like pull them in. And
Mod manager.
So
Gotcha.
I messed around with a total conversion mod, which actually gave special modifiers to certain packs. So like, for example, it amplified certain tarot cards to work more. I think it was called Hidden Aces is the version that I played. Basically, every time you get like a world tarot card, which turns, in the base game, it turns 3 of your cards to spades. In this one, it turns 9 of your cards to spades.
Ooh.
In the lucky one or the steel one, like the chariot or the magician, the magician will make like 6 cards, like lucky cards. And the steel card will make like 3. Yeah, power. It just, and when you get a jumbo tarot pack, it gives you like a choice of like 10 and you can use 5 of them. So it's just it's just like cracked out of control. Like just
your deck would go, that just sounds like a deck builder's dream.
It's like fucking gorgeous. I love it. You can just do everything. Like, you buy Joker, and there's other like Joker packs where it's like they've introduced like 60 more Jokers. And there's another one called, I forget what it's called. I think it's called like Froggy or something. But there's another total conversion mod where they introduced like reverse tarot cards, where like they do basically the opposite of like the tarot cards, or they have like some inverted whatever. So like instead of just having like, you've got a tarot card that increases the amount of chips that a card generates when played, or malt, then there's like times chips and like times malt that you can add to cards, which you already can with like aura from spectral packs and stuff like that. But there's like just a lot of stuff going on, like a lot of really crazy things. There's also a mod that I was using where you can go into your collection and hit like C or R or like F4 or something while you're hovering over or while you're clicking over a Joker. And that Joker is guaranteed to show up in your first shop. So you can like just build a run around like whatever Joker you want. It's awesome. There are so many mods for this game. It's fantastic. So now I'm like dipping into that and just like playing and going nuts and doing like free trigger stuff. I played with like the Lucky Joker for the first time. Like I'm just exploring a lot of the space, and this game is so goddamn good, you guys. Like, we know.
I don't want to get into the mods for that exact reason. It's like, come on, I've played too much of this game already. I still do. It's great. Please.
Yeah.
Set me free.
Now I will say, once I got like all of them, like the only achievement that I'm missing is completionist plus. Once I got to that point, like the like complete overpowering hunger dissipated. Like when it was like I had done everything that I wanted to do, because I like scaling up. Like I like beating decks and going for higher stakes. And then once I beat all of those, I was kind of like, I want to do the challenges just to see. And then once I was done with that, I was like, okay, I'm good. But like it's one of those things where I can just come back to this and just like fuck around with it, and it's always going to be fun. So that's where the mods have kind of come in. It's not like, this isn't like my default thing that I'm doing now anymore, where it was just like, oh, I was playing like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every week of this game. That's not the way that it is, but it is definitely something like fighting games where it's just like, you know what? I feel the mood has struck me. I'm going to dive back in. Let me see what's going on with these mods. Let me check something out. And I highly recommend it. It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, base Balatro is great, but like play this game on PC, mod it to all hell, have a great time. It's just bonkers fun. Like super fun.
Sounds life destroying, quite frankly. But yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
for real.
I think maybe the furthest I could go with Will with this game is like streaming it for him, and that's basically it. Because we've done that like once, but I don't know if that's like too much temptation.
I listen. I will watch you stream it, but know this: under no circumstances will I ever purchase that game. Under no circumstances will I play that game in somebody else's Steam library.
Yeah.
You could come up to me and hand me a Steam Deck. You're like, well, I would be like, get behind me, Satan! Like, no,
not today.
Not today.
Yeah, Will knows that this is like exactly. It's like it's the two things. It's like I'm avoiding this because this is not my thing, and I'm avoiding this because it is so much my thing. It is gonna be a problem.
Like, listen.
Yeah.
Know thyself.
Yes. Temet no say. But yeah, this shit is real. This shit is real. But anyways,
I'm not about to go back to jail.
I am very, I will say, I have loved it. I have played literally hundreds of hours of this game. I am very happy with, 339.1 hours on Steam. And then I think like 80 hours or something on Switch, maybe something like that. Like absolutely.
Pushing almost double my playtime at this point.
Absolutely one of the greatest like puzzle games, roguelikes ever made. One of the greatest video games ever made, just period. Like this is on the all-time list. Like I think this and like Tetris Attack are probably like 1 and 2.
This game is going to break into Brian's top 5. He's not careful.
I don't know about that. Top 10 I think is very reasonable.
Game of the Year discussion is going to be very interesting with this one in the mix, though.
It really will. It really will, because there are some real bangers this year.
We're halfway through. We're getting there.
Yeah, we are halfway through, and there's a lot of stuff still coming. But anyways, I just want to encourage people out there, like, if you have not modded Balatro and you're looking for something a little spicy to play with, I encourage you, check out some of this stuff. It's really, really good. There's also like the official, there's an official Balatro Discord, and people are talking in there. They're able to, I actually had some trouble installing the mods at first. People there in this community are super, super friendly. They were able to help me out. And a lot of the people in the official Balatro Discord make mods, and like, it's totally copacetic. So, yeah, if you're looking for a place to like find some good stuff and check some stuff out, that's a great place to look. Otherwise, hit me up on Twitter. I'm happy to like talk through stuff with you, tell you what I've been playing, like what mods I've been using. It's really, really great. And I'm excited to just take a step back from like deep diving this game and playing it like so thoroughly, but like just having this as like something that I can always return to. Like, this is definitely like a desert island game. Like, you can just play this as much as you want, as long as you want. Like, the sound effects, like the little touches in this game are just immaculate. It's fantastic. I can't believe. I hope that Localthunk is able to like retire and buy their own island with the amount of money they made from this game, because it's just
a desert island so people can play Balatro on it. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. All right. What's your wonky thing, Kris? What's going on?
Okay, so this will be an interesting one. So we all talk about, us here on the podcast, we're not hugely fond of the concept of remakes, because it's like, if a game is really good, why does it need to be remade? You're just cashing in on nostalgia. You're cashing in on, marketability. And even if your game is really, really good, it's rarely going to say or do anything particularly new. It's not going to supplant the existing game. And there are very few exceptions to that. Some that are just excellent, like perfect versions or modern versions of what they should have been or what they could have been originally. And others which are, the FF7 remake situation of not really an actual remake, though.
Yeah. It's not a remake, baby. It is a sequel.
Uh-huh.
We end of Evangelion up here in this bitch. Anyway.
Yeah. So the reason I bring that up is because I have been saying for a while now that instead of remaking good games, we should remake bad or middling games. Or unfinished games.
Xenogears remake when?
Yeah. Give them a chance to properly finish, to properly flourish and expand on the ideas that they present. Some of which are very good, but either, due to troubled development or all sorts of problems, mismanagement, publisher bullshit, doesn't quite land.
Remake Metal Gear Solid 5.
It's still so good, though.
No, I mean, it just didn't end. It didn't get the ending that it had.
It's true. It's true.
I want that ending. Have you guys seen the leaked ending of like what was supposed to be in Metal Gear Solid 5? The ending was so fucking good, and they just didn't finish the goddamn game. I'm so angry. Anyways, Kris, please continue.
Kojima was robbed, we know. So, the reason I bring all this up about remakes is because I think the game I've been playing deserves a goddamn remake for that reason, because it's not particularly great overall. It had a famously rushed development, was really shaky, but generally panned and disliked. But there's nuggets of really good stuff in here that I'm enjoying enough to keep me going despite that, and I would love to see it flourish. The game I've been playing is Dragon Age 2.
Oh, shit! You kids
want
to bomb a city.
Go on.
You gotta press a button and something awesome has to happen.
Button, awesome.
Button, awesome.
Fuck Anders.
Yeah, fuck Anders.
But not that
way. All my homies hate Anders. All my homies hate Anders.
All my homies hate Anders.
So there is a bit more story to why I'm doing that, and part of that is because Dragon Age 4 has actually surfaced despite everything. And the trailer got a lot of flack, and kind of deservedly so, because it looks like it was done by not BioWare, like a different studio. They just missed the point entirely because...
I don't know, man. They sent the trailer to Dragon Age 1 for This Is the New Shit by Marilyn Manson, which, to be honest, I actually like that trailer, so I'm not going to say
okay. But that was But that was the style of the time, That was mid to early aughts?
Yeah, late aughts. Those were fine. I remember, what was it? I remember that Battlefield trailer that was 99 Problems.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same trailer team.
Yeah, it's
EA.
7th console generation. It was a time. Never again. But, so I say, the reason I say that, though, is because you look at that trailer and you go, what the hell? This art style, the tone, everything feels way off, way different. And it got a lot of flack from fans and everything.
When I first saw it, I full-on thought it was like a tie-in. Not a full numbered sequel, but like a spin-off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just didn't look right. But then you actually, if you go and look at the actual footage of the game, the test builds, the other stuff they have coverage for that, for Veilguard, looks fine. It looks more in keeping, slightly more stylized, but still more in keeping with the previous games. They haven't completely abandoned that, which is what that trailer did. So it's weird. That's such an outlier. But that got a lot of flack for, when that came out. Oh, the Dragon Age Veilguard trailer came out and everyone was like, the fuck? But if you're a fan feeling jilted about it, go look at the rest of the stuff. Promise you, looks all right. But
I'm really disappointed they changed the name, because I know there are a lot of people who like Veilguard. I thought Dreadwolf was way better.
Is so good, and it's not like they've changed the premise enough to justify it. All the footage and all the discussions in the game that we've seen is still just the title character the previous title character, is still very important and going to be important to this plot. They haven't deviated that much. So,
and it's like if you played Inquisition, and you played like the optional fights, like the Dreadwolf is like the next thing, and the fact that they didn't,
and especially in the DLC for it, like they were really setting that up.
Yeah, and it's like the Dreadwolf was the perfect name. So like, why did you change it? I don't know. It drives me nuts.
Like, BioWare's dead, right? Like, I say this even cautiously optimistic about Veilguard, but everything that made BioWare a name, every person that was really responsible for putting it on the map, long gone. Long gone. If not, over the Anthem bullshit, then all the crunch and horrible conditions prior to that, by the way, led to Dragon Age 2 being made in 18 months, which is why it plays like it does.
Yeah.
But
it's not anything like Dragon Age 1. No.
And Inquisition trails more to the original, or like a kind of hybrid between the two as a result. And Inquisition is a better game. Much better game, honestly. But, so anyway, I have friends, like my closest friends are kind of into Dragon Age, and so seeing the trailer and everything kind of reawoke the hyperfixation. But it reawoke the hyperfixation, and so one of my friends has been going through Origins and, recounting their tales of. And it's always interesting because I didn't care much for Origins at the time, and I still don't particularly want to go back and play it because it was like the big follow-up for BioWare saying, we're going back to the style of a Baldur's Gate. And I'm just like, okay. As the Baldur's Gate 2 sicko in the room, you have my attention, and then you immediately lost my attention because no, it's not that. It's I was comparing it unfavorably to Baldur's Gate, and frankly, that has lingered, even though I know that's not the case. Like, it's not trying to be exactly. It deserves to be its own thing, but I just don't quite click with it. But there is a lot going on there, and reevaluating it through the lens of my friends' playthrough shows that there's, Dragon Age Origins is a pretty good game. It has some interesting writing stuff, and a lot of what's good about the writing is almost, I don't want to say subtext, but it's like the game kind of shoehorns you into the good playthrough. And if you start thinking about it for a while, you're like, is this actually the good playthrough? Is this the right choice to make? What if Logain is right, though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the best parts of that game are kind of buried in the margins, and you have to be willing to actually engage with it to really pull it out and go, okay. And
yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm looking at this trailer, which I'm playing for people who are watching this later, and like it seems like very like kind of Call of Duty-esque like set piecey, which is not really what Dragon Age was, and it's not really what Dungeons and Dragons.
The trailer felt
either.
Suicide Squad to me. Something about the colors and the splashing effects just made me go, yeah, I got a real Suicide Squad vibe.
Well,
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and also, like, I was going to say, like, one of the big things about the original Dragon Age is that, like, it was a very different game, whether you were playing it on console or PC. Like, if you're playing it on PC, it was very much trying to evoke, like, Baldur's Gate. It failed in, like, nailing the landing, but it was trying because you had that isometric
you could
perspective.
Pull back into the tactical view. You could play it more like that.
Which is exactly what I wanted. Now, I didn't have a PC at the time that could play it. I don't think I had a PC at all. I think I only had like an Apple laptop, which you couldn't get the game on that. So I played it on console and was really disappointed with the experience because I wanted that pulled back. Like, let me look around, let me strategize, let me pause, let me plan. And it just was not able to provide that same experience on console. When I'm looking at this now, like I'm not seeing any of that. This is just like third person behind the shoulder. Like it's just like it makes it more generic to me. Like, you could look at like Wayfinder or, like pick any fantasy, anything. And like, this is the presentation. Whereas like Infinity Engine games are their own things largely because of the perspective. And
you get the big sweeping vista of like the hand-drawn background and the more intricate styles. Like, again, like flat paintings of Resident Evil style is, you know, how they transcended the graphics of the time. Baldur's Gate could do similar. You had like big picturesque, you know, overviews of like the landscapes and the cities and such. It was good. But a little harder to do that when you're right there with the character, but at the same time, like, fair enough. If that's the style they're going for, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But
I mean, honestly, this looks more like Shadow of Mordor than Dragon Age.
And I mean, yeah, Inquisition was kind of heading towards that step. And I feel like that's another reason why Dragon Age 2 was maligned, possibly rightly so, is that of the two, as you say, the games were very different between PC and console. And so Dragon Age 2 very much went, we're going console. We are marketing to that audience way more. And so you had the, you know, immediate feedback of, you know, push button, something awesome happens that has forever been memed on and all that stuff. And a lot of PC players are just like, yeah, no, I'm out. Yeah. And
it's because that's not the bill of goods that we were sold.
Pretty much.
Like, the bill of goods that we were sold is this is the spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And Dragon Age Origins is still the closest the series has ever gotten to that. Because the rest of them just stopped trying. Which is, like, fine. Like, if you want to be your own thing, like, be your own thing, but don't tell me you're going to be something else.
Yeah.
Like, just be what you want.
I think the point is they stopped trying to be that other thing after the first game, and so people at every stage of development and like series progression, people have been left behind because it became something they didn't quite want.
Yeah.
And it's
What did you say? Will?
Not to mention,
I was just gonna say that, like, Dragon Age it's kind of like Crisis, right? Like, the first game is very much a PC game, and like every follow-up is like, consoles, baby, we consoles now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's maybe not what the people buying this want, but go for it.
Yeah, and they were trying.
I was gonna say, I also know that Will has said this previously, which is just like, consoles is the lowest common denominator, and so if you're letting consoles hold you back, you can't, like, there's a degree to which, like, it is important to have restrictions, because if you can do anything, then it doesn't require you to get creative, which is where, like, a lot of it's the reason why, like, the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo have some of the best games ever made, is because they had very serious, hard lines where you can't go past this. For memory, you can't go past this. For processing or for sound or whatever. And so people had to get really creative with how they solved those problems, and that led to some really interesting systems. And
limitation breeds creativity. It's not, you shouldn't feel limited by these kind of things. You should go, okay, what can I do with this? How can I push those limits to the absolute boundaries? How can I make it look like those limits don't exist, even while they very much do?
Yeah. And
that's what happened in those eras.
And that also has kind of led to the whole meme of, like, you know, you see the native or the like indigenous person, like, crouching in the snow saying Western Dev was here. Oh, how can you tell? 300 gigabytes. And it's like, yeah, when you can just make the game as big as you want and nobody can stop you, then you can just, you don't have to be elegant. You can just force your way through. But that doesn't lead to interesting things.
No, Balatro is 65 megabytes in store.
And it's better. Yeah. It is better than almost every other game. Like, it's fucking
it is
wild.
better than 650 gigabytes of Call of Duty games.
Yes. And Red Dead 2 and, like, all that other shit. Like, this game is fucking pure. And I don't know. It's like, there's a degree to which, like, I understand that, like, you set out to make something, and the thing that you set out to make isn't the part of the product that you put out that resonated with people, and so you pivot and do something else. But there's also something to say for, instead of leaning in that direction, being like, okay, we didn't hit the way that we wanted to hit. Let's, like, back up, see the ways that we can actually correct and do the thing we were intending to do, and then do that. And I wish with Dragon Age specifically, they had gone with that avenue instead of just being like, oh, people don't give a fuck about Baldur's Gate. People don't give a fuck about isometric games. They just want the third person over the shoulder, generic, hold the button down to do your fucking combo for you bullshit. So we're going to
Which was a lie to begin with anyway. That was what EA was peddling. Yeah. The whole single player games are dead. And then 10 years later, actually, no, that was wrong. Please buy our single player games. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Dragon Age is just, it's an interesting one. It's you can see the executive meddling at every stage in every game of development, how they really wanted it to be something, and probably to its detriment, both creatively and just, you know, business wise. And it's been so long since Inquisition for Veilguard to come out that it's great that it's actually happening. Like, I didn't think it was going to happen after, you know, I'm still surprised BioWare exists, even in name only, if it is at this point. I thought for sure Anthem was going to torpedo them. Let's be real.
And that is another prime example of, like, the gameplay in Anthem is not bad. Like, they just needed to believe in it and do something with it. And then they said they were going to, and then they gave up. And it's just like...
Because at that point, EA is like, that's money, you know, burning money. We don't want it.
Sucks. Anthem was...
But they didn't even know what they were doing with it to begin with. Like, if you've never read the Jason Schreier expose on that game, I highly encourage it. It's like 11,000 words and really dives into just all the troubles of BioWare, both on that game and prior. And no doubt a lot of this affected all their games, pretty much. It's like, you can see, obviously, Dragon Age 2 and, to a point, Mass Effect 3 are the big examples of just how bad their crunch and tight pipelines have led to them, you know, just missing the mark. The games that are good despite, not because of, their practices and management. And so I've been playing Dragon Age 2, which is a great example to that.
Not the only studio that's true of, but probably the most direct example, the biggest example of a fall from grace from things like this. But that's like a whole thing where it's like the model minority. It's like, or like the exception that proves the rule instead of the exception that contradicts it. And I think that that's something that people need to really keep in mind, not only in games, but also just in our modern kind of capitalist culture, is like, you really need to think about the fact that, like, there are some things that are true despite all of the things that are working against it. And, like, that's not good. Like, you need to be aware of that. You need to keep that in mind. But anyways, Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, I can only hope the team that is still there and working on Veilguard is both creatively fulfilled, not being worked to death, actually getting to take the time and do the game they want to make. And hopefully that will pan out for them and for Dragon Age fans in general. So
yeah,
we'll see. That comes out this year, I think. Yeah, it comes out later this year.
Yeah, later this year.
Sooner than I expected, frankly.
It's frustrating because, like, what I'm looking at...
It's been in development for years. So.
Like, what I'm looking at in this game through this gameplay trail, which I'm playing right now, as I said, is way less interesting than what I was hoping for. So, my interest level for this game is, like, pretty low, honestly, at this point. And I wish that was not the case because... You know,
I like the setting enough to be curious. I like the characters enough, especially the returning cast of, you know, you put Varric on the screen, I'm probably going to give a thumbs up. Like, he's cool. So, but yeah, so I've been playing Dragon Age 2, partly because I had never finished it. I'd only played it a little bit briefly a while back, and it's kind of, like, it's never had a full, like, redemption arc or anything, because obviously it doesn't deserve it, but there is enough good stuff in there that you can't, like, I am finding myself, you know, compelled to keep playing. I am enjoying what I am seeing, despite the flaws, despite the obvious problems of crunch and game development faux pas that I can see. Like, the map reuse in that game is legendarily bad, and it's true. Like, every time you're in a warehouse or a cave, it is the same warehouse. the same cave. They might change the entrance, they might block off areas, but it's always the same. And you get to learn the layout really fucking quick, well before, you know, the game is even close to done. But but it's like that's all they had time for. They didn't have the time to build more. They had to get their shit out, and they did what they could. So where the game does, you know, excel is interesting characters, pretty solid writing, generally pretty good premise, and I like the fact that it is kind of low to the ground, focused on one area, and kind of developing that and developing your character and your character's relationship with their family, the city, the party, and how that develops and branches and builds. It's just a little interesting little kind of character study. And so far I am actually enjoying it, all things considered. Like, definitely flawed. Not about to say it, but it did just get me thinking about the whole, man, I would love to see this game get remade. I would love to see this actually get a finished development with more variety in the gameplay stuff, to see the plot lines and characters that weren't, you know, aborted or cut short, to really properly integrate with it. That'd be nice. That'd be neat. But I doubt it's going to happen. And then, I may go and play Inquisition after that, carrying forward. We'll see. I do actually like Inquisition quite a bit. It's my favorite of the three, because I didn't have any pretenses by that point, right? It's like, I just want to play this game for what it is. It's not Origins, which is trying to be a successor to Baldur's Gate, but isn't in my mind. So,
I think it's definitely...
Funnily enough, I rate Inquisition higher than Witcher 3, which it came out slightly before. So and that's not a popular take, but I will stand.
No, it's not. But Dragon Age Inquisition did win some Game of the Year awards, like legit, which is
it won a lot of awards in a weak year, all of which should have gone to either Alien Isolation or Xrd.
Yeah. Although, let's be real, Alien Isolation should have ended like 20 hours before it did.
If you cut Alien Isolation in half, it is a perfect video game.
If you end it after you escape the first alien, if you end it, it's top 10.
Yeah, if you do it after you blow the first... Listen, I'm about to spoil
Alien Isolation, a 10-year-old game.
So if you have a problem with that, cover your ears. It should have ended after you blew the first alien out the airlock, which is ironically what happens at the end. You do the same exact thing. It's just it's not as cool. Like, the segment is not as fun. If you had done that and done the exact same ending, better game.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's cool once will not necessarily be as cool the second time.
Law of diminishing returns, guys. Learn about it.
Also, the other problem is, like, the androids in that game suck.
Yeah, I was going to say, not fun.
Not fun. Not even, like, annoying in a good design way. Like, sometimes things are annoying, and you're like, that's well designed, that's fair. And it's like, no, these just suck. Like, they're the worst.
It's like the Emmys in Metroid Dread. It's like, bro, leave me the fuck alone. God damn. Anyways.
And then you learn the parry timing, and then you're fine with Emmys, but it's still just like, ugh.
No, Brian is holding on to the hatred of the Emmys.
Oh, God.
Valid. Valid.
This is
like, I love that game, but they don't add much.
This is a deeply personal issue for me. This is I'm a one-issue voter, and this is the issue. I think instant fill mechanics in games are bad pretty much always. But anyways.
That's crazy.
Anyways.
Not that I would think simply that, not but get it's caught. Crazy that, like, that game is, like, 3 years old now. You're still mad about it?
I'm not still mad about it, but when people bring up Metroid Dread or I bring it up, I'm going to talk about it.
Listen, I was supposed to say, nobody brought up Metroid Dread. You did that yourself.
It's true. I did that myself. That's on me. Hey, guys, that's on me. I'm not burning a candle. I'm not like keeping the evil hate candle, the spite candle burning for that like I am the Rise of Skywalker. So we'll just leave it at that.
Listen,
it's not a burning candle.
It is really a shame that they never made a sequel to The Last Jedi. You could have done so much cool stuff post Last Jedi.
I know, right?
It is.
It's absolutely bonkers that everyone at Lucasfilm looked at that film, which made like, $1.5 billion, and was like, "No, we're good.
Yeah, we're not gonna finish it." It's like, wow, okay, that's a bold move, but you know what? I respect it.
I don't respect it. Fuck that.
particularly because like a third to half of The Last Jedi is like not great either, but the other half.
Oh yeah, no. I don't like The Last Jedi, but I can at least see where people come from with it.
It introduces some really cool stuff that I dig, but I also got some beef. Anyways.
Listen, I have no problem. Yeah, I'm tired of having this discussion. If you've got beef, that's fine. Yeah. But also, like,
we don't want to hear it.
The
internet has raged about it years on.
The result of the beef was undercooked steak.
Yeah.
We hate an undercooked steak.
The most
it's true.
Corporate swill, market focus tested bullshit, no daring, no risk, no source sequel to have ever existed.
I'll tell you
this. And to have damned the entire trilogy.
I'll tell you this. If you want to use J.J. Abrams to reboot your film franchise, bring him in for the first one and then say thank you and usher him out the side door and then bring in real filmmakers. And then get a different writer
who will take that and actually answer the questions that he's left dangling fucking everywhere.
Yes. That's what you do.
He wasn't even supposed to direct Rise of Skywalker. It was supposed to be the Jurassic World guy, which I'm not sure would have been better just for the record. That guy is also a hack. So
Also, why did they think... And this is going to go back to a thing that I told Will a long time ago. Why did they think it was a good idea to bring in the dude who wrote Batman versus Superman to co-write The Rise of Skywalker?
How is Chris Terrio still getting jobs?
You think this motherfucker is going to save this movie? That idiot couldn't save a JPEG.
That idiot couldn't save a JPEG. Damn. Couldn't open a PDF, couldn't save a JPEG.
Nah. That's it.
Damn,
anyways.
We are opening up the Book of Grudges today.
Yes, we are.
The next entry in the Book of Grudges, the Street Fighter 6 input reader. No, I'm just kidding. We've discussed that.
Indiana Jones in the Book of Grudges. Harry Potter and the audacity of this bitch. That's one of my favorites of all time. Like that is every time somebody does something really audacious, I say that and it just makes me laugh every time.
That's a good one.
Usually it's a white person, so Harry Potter and the caucasity of this bitch also.
Even better.
Yeah. Anyways.
Oh boy.
Anyways.
That's my time with Dragon Age 2. Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Listen, at least you're not one of those people trying to actively rehabilitate Dragon Age 2. It's like the people who are trying to rehabilitate Final Fantasy 13. I will not be gaslit. I was there when that game came out as an adult. You were a child.
You're not going to revisionist history my ass.
No. You may fool people who weren't there. No, I'm not saying that's what you did. I'm saying you are not those people.
I know, but the point is that's not what I do. I will go through, look at it warts and all. It's like, this is what it is. This is what it could be. This is the parts that are good and which you can cling on to. The rest of this, not so great. I will not sugarcoat that shit.
Yeah.
And I will say that even about the most popular games of all time.
Yeah. And I will say, I did not play that much of Dragon Age 2. I definitely didn't finish it. I don't remember how far I got. I didn't get like super far, I don't think. One of the praises that I have heard heaped upon that game that I do think is maybe interesting, and I'd be interested to kind of hear your like sentence pitch on that, is that like whereas Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisition is interested in world building, Dragon Age 2 is interested in city building and getting way more detailed in exploring one setting, which I do think as an idea is something I want people to do more of. Like, I don't necessarily think, like, going to a different franchise, like, I don't think that Diablo 2 is better than Diablo 1 because it explores more places. I think it's better because, like, they upped their game. Like, there's nothing wrong with just being like, this is Tristram, we're going down, that's it. Like, I think that that's a really interesting and focused idea, and you can do a lot with that. I just want people to like do it. So I don't know the degree to which you would agree with that, but
Brian, let me tell you what Dragon Age 2 is interested in. Dragon Age 2 is interested in, oh God, oh fuck, we have 18 months and no money.
Pretty much.
I also believe that one of the main things is like putting together the Templars and the mages in like one place again, or like taking that conflict from the first game and like blowing it up, literally and figuratively.
Blowing it up.
Yeah, literally and figuratively. Speaking of fuck Anders, but anyways,
I'm not that far in the game just yet. I'm still in Act 1.
Okay,
but yeah.
The other thing is like, you know, like people who've worked on Dragon Age 2 who are now no longer there, like several of the guys that were there are like at Larian, you know, are like, yeah, that's, you know, like if you think that's the game we wanted to make, like I have a bridge to sell you. Like we had restrictions, we had money that we did not, you know, we had a budget that we could not, you know, they made a AAA game in 18 months.
Yeah. When you consider when you consider the shit that they went through to get that game out, the fact that it turned out what it is and still has good things to hold on to is honestly impressive. You could say the same thing. The problem is then you can then say the same thing about New Vegas and then some.
Yeah.
So that's the rub. But yeah. I would have liked them to have gotten the game they wanted to make. I would love to see that game remade into something more cohesive, but neither is probably ever going to happen, and I hope they're happy doing whatever it is they do now and are creatively fulfilled and not crunched and paid well. You know the deal.
Short games, worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less, and we're not kidding.
We are not
kidding.
We are not kidding. Also, I think I'm amazed that studio still exists. Like, we've said this before.
Yeah.
But like, what? Like, it is unfathomable to me that EA was like, yeah, bro, take 10 years to make a new Dragon Age. That's fine.
I think...
Because that's what it's been. It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
They had games in between that, but like, what the fuck?
I have to believe it's purely an optics thing. Like,
that's never stopped EA before.
EA does not give a fuck. You know how much money
look at their graveyard
and FIFA make? They don't care. They do not care. But you know the crazy thing is, like, even if you like take away the "it's been 10 years since Dragon Age" thing, it has been 7 years since they made a new IP. That was Anthem.
Yep, and that game
was
famously awful.
Listen, I reviewed that game. It made me so sad.
I wrote guides for it with Miranda and some other people from IGN.
It made me...
My condolences for you both. Jesus.
Yeah, so sad. It's okay. I got to write some really cool sentences about how bad Anthem was.
I did not, but I got to talk about it on the show.
There was one, I think, that I was like, the loading screens in this game, because there was literally a bug that could make the loading screens 7 minutes or infinite, and there was no way to tell what it was on PC. So I was like, listen, the loading screens in this game are so long that you can go into your kitchen, make a sandwich, get a beer, eat the sandwich, finish your beer, and still be in a loading screen. People were like, that's not true. And I'm like, it's literally an infinite loading screen.
Yeah.
Also, you can't make and eat a sandwich in 7 minutes? Come on.
Yeah. Bruh. Unless you're making a hell of a sandwich.
Yeah, I was about to say, the sandwiches I make, I cannot make and eat in 7 minutes. But I make some fucking gourmet fucking sandwiches.
Listen, I'm saying that you can't make... I'm not saying you can't make every sandwich in 7 minutes, right? I'm not saying that's possible.
A PB&J? Sure, yeah.
But, like, if
Two
I
bits
wanted,
of bread,
like,
peanut butter, jam, done.
Like a turkey sandwich, I could make a turkey sandwich in 7 minutes and eat it.
Slice up those fresh onions, slice up those fresh tomatoes, get that lettuce. Oh, yeah.
You know, you got some lettuce, you got some mustard, you got some turkey. You got, like, a tomato you cut up real quick and, like, some pre-sliced onions, right? Because odds are if you're making a sandwich, you've had sandwiches the last couple days. And you're good, brother. You have a nice sandwich. You go sit down at your computer and you're still disappointed.
Still disappointed because you're waiting for...
But are you more disappointed because you're still on the loading screen or because the loading screen is done and you're still playing Anthem?
Nah, these are questions for smarter men than I.
This is a question...
Somebody get Socrates on the phone.
This is a question best left to aged sages.
And the messed up part is, like, Anthem, like, there was cool stuff in that game.
Yeah.
It could have been cool.
The flight was really cool.
Yeah.
The flight was
just needed more time, more fundamental systems, not just slapdashed, and not being a live service that required grinding and endless repetition of the same limited content.
Yeah. In a better world, we got Anthem, like, rebuilt. Like, they were going to remake it, right? And, like, fix all of it and re-release it. And then they were like, we don't want to spend the money.
Anthem, a Realm Reborn kind of style.
Yeah,
dude, Anthem: A Realm Reborn would have been fucking sick. Because it's legitimately doing something that, like, a lot of games are not doing. Like, the last time that there was a game where you could just, like, fly around and do shit was, like, what? Like, City of Heroes or something?
Probably, yeah. Also, you know, the real tragedy is, like, Anthem as not a co-op game, as, like, a single-player, like, very focused game, that would have been sick.
Would have been really cool. Would have been like Titanfall, but you weren't bound to the ground.
Yes, but
Sick.
EA gonna EA, baby.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is also the reason why we're not going to get Titanfall 3, which is fucking unfortunate.
Listen, you should go play Titanfall 2, but I'm here to tell you, because people lie about this like every 2 weeks on Twitter, Titanfall 2 is not one of the best FPSs ever made. It is not. It is not. It is very good.
It has two really fun levels.
It has Affecting Cause and the one level where you're on the ships jumping around.
Oh, I was going to say the one where you're climbing up like the house building section.
Okay, it has 3 really cool levels. But like, it's a very good game, but I think we also forget that, like, listen, we were desperate for a decent shooter campaign at that point. It had been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
when you
are starving, everything tastes good, baby. Like,
and also the beginning of that game is tedious as fuck.
Yeah, the first 3 levels in that game are terrible. Like, straight up, they are bad.
Yeah.
And given the campaign's only, what, like 2-3 hours? Like,
not a great level. You can beat the whole thing in 3 hours.
And Titanfall 1 is still better.
Yeah. And, especially as a multiplayer game.
Yep.
Like, you know, people were like, oh, it's Titanfall. And then everybody was like, you know, come out a couple years later, Doom. And it was just one of those statements of, like, sometimes you forget what something is, right? Like, what is possible until a master comes out and it's like, let me show you something.
And we played Doom 2016, and we were gobsmacked.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, it's it. Like, they're the top of the pile. Like, they're the best to ever do it. Everybody else is one
of the best title drops of all time.
Yeah, it's that game is so sick. And then they made Doom Eternal, a game which is also so sick. So, like, it just,
and now they're making Doom the Dark Ages, which I hope is going to be also so sick.
Yeah, every now and then Doom just kind of comes out and it reminds people, like, do you remember who we are? Like,
you don't see us that much, but let us fucking remind you why our genre exists. It was us.
It was us.
Well,
like, they called us Doom clones before they were first-person shooters.
Let me remind you. You seem to have forgotten. Quake win, please. God, Quake win.
Yeah, Quake 3 remake?
I don't need a remake of Quake 3 because Quake 3 doesn't have a single player mode. I just need, like,
did you ever play excuse me, did you ever play the HD versions of Quake 1 and 2? Because Machine Games actually snuck in an additional new campaign for each of those when they did it, and they rip.
No, I haven't played those yet. I know that they're supposed to be really good.
Yeah, they're remarkably good. Like, they've taken what they learned and what they got out of playing that and really pushed it. So, highly recommended. Surprisingly good.
Yeah, but I would like Quake 5, please.
Yes.
Or Quake 6. You know, if we think Quake Champions is Quake 5, like, I would like Quake 6.
Cool.
I, too, would like that. I'd also like Unreal Tournament to make a return properly and not just get cancelled in the Fortnite mines. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yo, when they were like, we're not going to work on this anymore, like, we're making a new Unreal. Yes, we're not going to work on this anymore.
For fuck's sake.
Why? Because it didn't make enough money. Yeah, because it was in early access on your tiny fucking Epic store, hadn't been updated in 18 months, and you threw all the fucking resources on it into the Fortnite mines. Fuck you. Fuck your shit. Make Unreal Tournament, you have.
Yeah, I'm never not going to be mad about Unreal Tournament, but we'll always have 2K4, baby.
2K4 fucking slaps.
All right.
So much Unreal Tournament 2K4.
We can follow this rabbit as it goes down all the different holes. You know, I'm not. I
suppose the moral of the story is just fuck EA. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
The moral of that story is, like, I miss first-person shooters when they were good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be the old man, but, like,
I mean, let's be real. The majority of first-person shooters have never been good, but there were definitely more good ones.
But you used to get some.
Yeah.
You used to get some.
Yeah, we used to get more than we do now.
And even like some of the field fillers were like, this is neat.
Yeah.
You know, like, listen, if you ever talk smack about Singularity...
I was just about to say Singularity!
I will actually fight you.
I can't believe that. I was literally like, am I going to mention Fuse? No, I'm going to bring up Singularity.
Listen, if you ever talk smack about a Raven Software FPS, I will fight you. It will be feral. I will be out here with teeth, like going for your jugular. There will be no quarter. There will be no remorse.
Long distance fist bump.
Hell yeah.
All right. But we're not going to talk about that anymore. We're not going to talk about downers anymore. We're going to talk about some fucking hype shit before we wrap this episode. Shit. Before we wrap this episode up in a tiny bow and send it off. Oh no!
Oh no! He has fallen.
Oh no! I caught him. He's okay.
And he did not fall under his own pressure. He
did not. That was me.
Attempted murder of Donatello.
That was me. I mean, I'm way bigger than him. I got the strength.
So, all right. So, what is this hype thing that we need to be?
Okay. This last week, I played and beat 1000xResist.
Are you sure it's not 1000 times resist?
It could be. I don't fucking know. I've never heard anybody say it. But anyways, if you're looking for it, it is 1000xResist. So 1000 lowercase x resist.
Resistance folded 1,000 times.
This is one of my favorite games of this year.
Okay.
It's really beautiful. It's really interesting. Will, I know we were talking about the writing. I think it's really good.
I'll check it out.
I think one of the things that I love most about this game, first of all, let me just give you a top down. I am going to tell you right now, full disclosure, I am not going to say very much about this game because this is a game that you just need to play.
Go in blind. Slay the Princess style.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, the premise. And then I'm going to talk about the things that I think it does really well. And then I'm just going to kind of leave you to go check it out. So it's available on Steam and it runs immaculately on Steam Deck. It's gorgeous. But it's not gorgeous in the way that like this developer is chasing the graphical unicorn, because it does not look gorgeous in that way.
That is my contribution to the discourse from now until forever, is that phrase.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah.
Just want everybody to know that. Mine.
Yeah. Copyright Wilberger.
Why do you think I'm using it here?
I appreciate that. I just, when it starts becoming like the way people talk about this shit, I want you to know, before that tweet went viral and got 40,000 likes, I've been saying that for 10 years. That was mine. You guys are welcome to it. Yeah. Everybody else, I expect I can have my hand out and have a check placed in it.
Yeah.
John Carpenter style.
So, so it basically 1000xResist is the story of a young girl who lives in a world after it's basically reverse War of the Worlds.
Does she need to take the midnight train to anywhere?
No, she doesn't. Well, I mean, actually,
damn.
Yeah.
That was just a Journey song, y'all. The whole story.
It was, but there is a train, and it's important. It's really important. Central to the story, actually. But it's like the War of the Worlds. If you're familiar with H.G. Wells' famous book. Or
radio play / movie.
I was going to say even more famous radio play, which had people in Britain like freaking the fuck out, which was great. But basically aliens land, and not long after that, a sickness breaks out among humanity. And it is lethal. And it's lethal to everyone except one person. And it makes her immortal. And it's about what happens in the world afterwards, 1,000 years after this happened. And it explores a lot of different things. It explores difficult and complicated family relationships. It explores the obligations that we have to each other as people in the midst of a really fucked up world. It explores the degree to which we hold ourselves accountable to our mistakes. It explores many, many, many things and it has, I think the dialogue and the voice acting is really good. Really good. Characters speak both English and Mandarin in this game, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it has kind of changed the way that it's opened new avenues for me to think in terms that aren't super parsable, if that makes sense. Like, this is going to get a little heady for a moment. The way that we think and the way that our brains work is constrained by the language that we use, right? The idea of language is to get ideas from my head into your head. But there's also a degree to which we can be, as humans, liberated from that constraint if we're not actually trying to convey ideas, but rather express emotions. And there's a way of speaking that takes place in this game that really unlocked something for me in a way that I think is really beautiful. And I'm going to be grateful for a long time, maybe ever. But, yeah. And maybe that's just because I'm a basic bitch and I just didn't think of this stuff before, but I don't know. There's something.
Could be. Don't know.
There's
Like,
something.
it's definitely within the realm of possibility.
Yeah. There's something very resonant and beautiful and tragic and true about this very fantastical story. And it is difficult, and it is fucked up, and it is sweet, and it is heartwarming, and it is depressing, and it's much in the way that I was speaking of Balatro earlier, which is just like a game-ass game. This is the type of game that I want more people to make, because it is not super interested in being a game other than the degree to which it can say something. And not enough game makers do that. There is a very, stopping the just unequivocal praise, there are some issues. There's no fast travel in the game. There's also no combat in the game, which is not what I expected. This is a game about telling a story. This is a game about conversations and relationships between people. I didn't know that was what it was going to be. I just heard, this is great. I reached out to the developers and I got a key for it. I'm talking about it here. I'm also planning on doing something else with it. But this is it. There's a problem that I have with it, which is like, there's no fast travel. And when you're walking around like a fairly large area that has a lot of nooks and crannies and tunnels and things like that, to try to find somebody to talk to. Like it's not nearly as bad as like Paradise Killer, which that part of that game really annoyed me. It was just kind of like, man, I wish I could just kind of like teleport to where I was trying to go, or like look at a map and like see where the person I'm looking for is. But those are very minor, or maybe not very minor. Those are minor nitpicks in a game whose merits I think are very apparent when you play it. Like this is up there with like Cosmic Wheel, other stuff for me as like, and like Inscription. I think it's above Inscription because I think that it definitely nails what it's doing way more than that. Like it doesn't miss in the way that Inscription does at certain parts of the game. But this is one of those indie games where like, I'm going to be holding this up to people for a while of like, I want more of this. Like, please do more of this. It's simultaneously like a very grandiose story about humanity and a very personal story about a girl who is part of a family that transplanted themselves from another country and is trying to make their way. Like it's about a lot of stuff. It's about class struggle. It's about fascism. It's about many, many things, and it's awesome. And you should definitely play it. And it is 1000xResist, and buy it.
Overwhelmingly positive on Steam, like 97% out of nearly 600 reviews. Seems pretty good. You're not the only one who's loving it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's really, really, really fantastic, and I really think that you should just play it. Anyways, that's all I got.
I'll take that recommendation to heart.
That's all I got. Any other thoughts before we close out?
No?
Not really. I got a couple of things I can rapid fire, but like I don't have much to say about any of it, so it's like.
So you want to say that for another one when we got more?
I'll just say I'm playing more Shin Megami Tensei 5, chipping away at that. Playing more Elden Ring, chipping away at that. Haven't even got close to where the DLC starts yet. I know people are enjoying that, but yep. And played a bit of Stellaris.
Man, I was so annoyed. I bought the Elden Ring DLC on Steam, and then I booted up on it on my Steam Deck and was like, all right, here we go. And then I remembered on my Steam save, I was playing through and streaming it to get 100% completion on the game, so I haven't beaten it yet. And I'm like,
so you're not at a position where you can start the DLC, or
fuck. So I can either go back and buy the DLC again on PS5 and like jump right in, or I can like do all that stuff that I was saving on my Steam thing and then go into it.
Yeah, I haven't bought the DLC yet because like I'm not anywhere close, and I don't know if my attention will hold long enough. So
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah,
apparently it's good. But yeah. I can't wait. I have heard it is almost Elden Ring 2. Like, that's how much there is. So, I'm amped.
The review I saw for it was like, yeah, they said the new area is the size of Limgrave. They didn't mention that it's 5 Limgraves stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, that's nuts. So, yeah. I'm excited. More Elden Ring can only be a good thing. But
one would hope.
It's true. It is true.
Good stuff. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 317 of the Platformers Podcast. If you like what we do, hit us up. You can find us streaming live on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Time at twitch.tv/Ribnax, Ribnax. Ribnax is also where you can find me on Twitter and on YouTube. And you can find me at Brian Barnett, BrianBarnett, at Blue Sky and Backlogged. Yeah, if you want to see some stuff that I am doing, you're going to have to wait a second because I can't talk about any of that yet. And work has been a little bit slow. So mostly you'll find me here. Kris, where can people find you?
Hey, I am Kris Cornelisse. You can find me on most games and across the internet as Delfeir, Delfeir. I have a website at versusthebacklog.com, vsthebacklog.com, one word. I am currently, at the moment, I'm not really working on this, but I am going to give a shout out anyway to Most Acclaimed Games, that project that I have been part of. A new video is going up on that that's really going to actually dive into the process of the algorithm and such, which a lot of people don't realize just how complex my friend went on this thing. So I think that'll be worth checking out. So giving a shout out in advance to that. Check that out. Yeah. Will, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ByWillBurger. That's burger with an O, not a U. B-Y, Willburger. You can find me a lot of places across the internet if you'd like to read my writing. You can find my Dustborn preview at Shack News. Please go ahead and read that. Wishlist that game. It's really neat. Give those developers some love. They need it. You can also find me on IGN, where I've been helping out with the IGN First for the Altars, among many, many other things. And you can find me here, of course, as well as on Backlogged at Edgar Allan Bro, same username on Blue Sky. So I'm all over the place. And I have something coming up on Unwinnable soon. So check that out too.
Nice. From everybody here at the Platformers, we hope you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, because until next time, we are out.
Goodbye.
Peace.